Today is prescriptions for wellness, spiritual wellness, and it's a third in a 4-part series. Let's begin with a quick review of what we've covered in the last, so those of you who are newcomers, you will be able to catch on. And when these are uploaded to the website, you will also be able to follow again. In Yoga Sutras 1 through 9, we have the cream of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. In Sutras 1 through 4, Patanjali summarizes yoga. What is yoga? It's the cessation of the vrittis, the thought waves, the images, the emotions, the memories of the mind. We call them vrittis, thought waves, which are really literally translated as whirlpools of the mind. And when that happens, one's true nature is revealed. And when they're not stilled, our true nature, the Atman, is obstructed. Very simple. Sutra 5. Sutra 5 through 11 reveal point by point the nature of our obstructions, these thought waves, these vrittis. In Sutra 5, we find that they're both painful and non-painful. I think we can all relate to that. In Sutras 6 through 11, Patanjali analyzes the 5 kinds of mental activity, our vrittis. Their knowledge, misapprehension, verbal delusion, sleep, and memory. These are all going on in our mind. So it's important to understand these types of thought waves that obstruct the Atman and disturb the mind, because we need to know what mental faculties to develop in order to still these negative thought waves. We want the knowledge of the mind. The mind is an object. The mind is something that can be observed. And those of you who were in the first, in the series and went through the wonderful Pratyahara meditation that Vivekananda used to give in his Raja Yoga classes, calming the lake of the mind, you began to see the mind as a lake stretched before you, and you could observe the various images, thought waves, memories that were coming up. So science tells us anything that we can see is matter. And so in Yoga Vedanta, we understand that the mind is material. It is matter. And that which is watching the mind is called the higher mind. And that higher mind is what points to the Atman. The Atman is never the object of observation, but this higher mind is what leads us to further along the path of yoga, to illumination. And that is the part of the mind we wish to develop. So for an example, to develop right knowledge, we want to be aware of verbal delusion and misapprehension. We want to adapt practical Vedanta to be able to behave according to time, place, and circumstance. And much of this we learn in school and in colleges and higher learning. We learn how to use the mind to analyze. In Sutras 12 through 16, Patanjali tells us how to control the movements of the mind through practice and non-attachment. The central point is practice. And to practice, we must respect our practice. And how do we do that? We recognize the value of what we're trying to do in order to attain such a high goal. And part of that practice is Raja Yoga, control of the mind, and also meditation. That falls under Raja Yoga. Other yogas are Karma Yoga, the yoga of action, Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion. And we recognize the value of what we're doing, what we're trying to do in order to attain the goal. And then we take it seriously by steady commitment. So the central points of non-attachment, and that word may sound a little scary, but it really isn't. Anything we're attached to, lesser things become the subject of non-attachment. So if our goal is strong, if our beloved is strong, other lesser things fall away naturally. So Patanjali lets us know that let the vrittis remain. There's nothing wrong in having thoughts. We all have thoughts. We can't stop them in our present state of mind. These thoughts cannot be destroyed. And it's important then for us to understand that it isn't the thought that disturbs us. It's the wave that comes out of the thought. It's the afterthought. It's the indulgence in the thought that disturbs us, whether that be pleasure or pain, whatever it may be. So it's our reaction to the thought, indulgence and interest in the thought, and imitation of the thought that disturbs us. So what is a positive, gradual way to develop renunciation? Now that sounds like a big, very fearsome word, but it's really not. We all incorporate renunciation in some part of our lives. Whatever we strive for, that automatically we give up other things in order to do that. So in spiritual life as well, there is that element of renunciation, and we develop that through love of God and devotion. It's a very positive thing. The more we go towards the east, the more the west is left behind. And part of that devotion and love comes from the repetition of the mantra, a mantra that we receive from the guru, the teacher. And that brings with it tremendous love and devotion to the practice. And that devotion is the glue that holds our practice together. It makes us want to get up early in the morning, to sit at our shrine, to read our holy books, to then meditate and offer the results of our actions throughout the day to our beloved, our chosen ideal. And what is so wonderful about this mantra practice is that we can take it wherever we go. And therefore, constant practice is possible. Practice of repeating the mantra makes the mind one-pointed. Now, this doesn't happen on the first day, the second day, the first year, the second year. This happens over a course of time, because this mind has been compared to a monkey, not just a monkey, but a drunken monkey. And in the Yoga Vedanta tradition, we go further. It's not just a drunken monkey, it's a drunken monkey stung by a bee. That's the nature of this mind we have. So the more we practice repeating the mantra, the more the mind becomes one-pointed, and the more we practice, the easier it becomes. Now we come to Sutras 15 and 16, how to attain perfection in non-attachment. First, we have to understand how the mind is conditioned. So every experience that we have, whether it's today, yesterday, a week ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, when we were a child, or in past lives even, they attend to every experience we are having now. So as yogis and yoginis, you make a choice. You make a choice to act in a deliberate, uplifting way in which will enhance your spiritual welfare. And that makes a deep impression on the mind to further that positive upward direction. So these stored mental impressions, called samskaras, arise to the surface mind with each new experience we undertake. and they determine how we act and react. For example, say last week, somebody said something that made you very upset. And today you meet that person and it triggers you and you want to feel those same emotions. But as yogis and yoginis, you realize what's happening in the mind, and then you assert what we call counter thoughts. You begin to cover that person with a love from your divine chosen ideal. You begin to talk to the mind, to divert the negative energy of the mind. You begin to act in a new constructive way. Otherwise, what happens? Even the thought of that person raises negative samskaras that turn and lead us by the nose. And so therefore, we don't wish to be that. We wish to be autonomous and to lead ourselves. And so the first lesson we learn is that we have samskaras in the mind, and our job is to attenuate those, whatever they may be. Usually the negative samskaras, but to enhance the positive ones that lead us to devotion to God, lead us to spiritual well-being. So dispassion gives us a new frame of reference, a balanced way to look at life. By having a goal in life, we begin to make choices around that goal to increase our chances of attaining the goal. Same way with a new job. We make every effort to turn our life around the means to be successful in that new job, whatever it may be. We give up other things so that we can study to be prepared for our job the next day. So in spiritual life also, we give up certain things so that we can continue successfully in our spiritual practice. This is the foundation of building dispassion. Again, the more we travel to the east, the more the west is left behind. It happens naturally. Swami Brahmananda, disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, said, to lose the ego in God is dispassion. So this dispassion is not such a cold world, it's really passion for God. So when the mind is steadied, it develops within us a larger sense of being. Now we come to Sutra 17. Sutra 17 explains the stages of concentration, meditation, and samadhi. It is not such a mystery. Yoga Vedanta analyzes this whole process for us. The process of deepening our range of cognition and spiritual insight through abhyasa. Abhyasa means constant practice, steadiness, and constant practice. So we come to the stage of vitarka. What is vitarka? It is directing the mind to a particular object and trying to focus there. Now, you all have had some practice in this. Definitely those of you who are meditators over a long time, you've had this practice. But those of you who haven't, you know, in your job, you have to direct the mind, pinpoint the mind to a particular object in order to penetrate it and to enhance and enlarge your sense of knowing what your job is all about, whatever that may be. And so in vitarka, we begin to develop a deeper understanding of the object of our concentration. And this deeper insight in meditation awakens a joy within us, even if it's not meditation, but it's meditating upon a subject that brings us joy, such as in music, the arts, in science. It brings us joy. And this is called the joy of concentration. That joy was always there within us, but distracting thoughts had covered it up. So what are the stages? Our teachers tell us to concentrate on a gross object of our choice. In other words, the form of God. So many newcomers want to start right at the peak, Advaita Vedanta. Well, that's fine. That's the goal. But you can also reach that through the path of devotion. And so we must begin where we are. Otherwise, we're going to fall off the peak. So then as we're meditating on our chosen ideal, what do we do? Aside from trying to focus on the image, we try to go deeper and try to feel its presence. What would it be like if, say, Sri Ramakrishna, Christ, or Buddha, upon whom I'm meditating, were to enter my shrine room? What would that experience feel like? Use your spiritual imagination. That pushes you beyond where thought cannot go. And as we continually try to do this, we become absorbed in a subtle realm. Again, this doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice. Into the subtle realm of ideas and qualities emanating from that form. We try to feel that form within us is living. It's a living presence. And gradually we begin to be and become one with that subtle reality. The greater the duration of time, intensity, and involvement, the object unfolds its mystery. And we lose a sense of time and space, but the I is still present. Jnana, knowledge, is Shakti, power. As soon as we know, we then have the capacity to use this power. Euphoric ecstasy and joy. With these, we lose body consciousness, but we're not yet beyond Prakriti. So the stages of concentration from the gross to the subtle are vitarka, which is likened to holding a pot, vichara, a deeper involvement with the object of meditation, likened to scrubbing the pot to remove all the dirt of the mind. Ananda is likened to holding the pot to observe the shine. Asmita, finally, I amness. Most of the time, we're still aware of our own existence while meditating. In Yoga Vedanta, let's bring this up. This I amness. I am comes from the Atman, the Purusha. But ultimately, this I am disappears in the Atman. And this I am is a very high state of consciousness. It is the center of consciousness. So this intuition of the self is the experience of the root cause of the experiencer, the I am. Beyond Ananda, ecstasy and joy are replaced by tranquility in the I am, and the whole cosmos ceases to exist. We're aware of Prakriti and Purusha merged in the unmanifested Prakriti of this universe. Ramana Maharshi explained, hold on to the I am. Again, that's a very high state of evolution. That will take you to the Atman, he said. But in the self, there is no I am. So that self is with a capital S, and that is beyond savikalpa samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. So a tremendous amount of power is generated in these last couple of stages. Awareness has broken all limits of space and time, and we become aware of past lives because we're one with the eternal Prakriti. We know the root of this universe. And this samadhi, Sri Ramakrishna described as taking place in the Agya Chakra, the barrier between God and the devotee. And it's like a barrier of glass in a lantern, which keeps us from touching the light. We're still not there at the highest. In Sutra 19, the ultimate samadhi is complete cessation of all mental activity. And this samadhi has no glass separating it. So here we see the illustration. We destroy the last bond with the world, ahamasmi, by our mind. So as gold is purified, the acid which is poured on the alloy and over the dirt neutralizes itself, and what remains? Pure gold. So our intention and willpower to free ourselves burn itself off, and we are what we are. Now, these may sound like just words to you now, but what is important about this process of going through the process intellectually is that Yoga Vedanta is time-tested by the ancient rishis and rishis living today. And so if we are to embark on a trip, say to Europe, we get a map to find out where we're going. Otherwise, if no map is available through the travel agency, we begin to wonder about the travel agency. So also with spiritual life, if there's no map for you, then it's good to doubt that tradition. Nisargadatta Maharaj asked, ultimately, what am I? The ultimate denial of all you are not. It is your fixed idea that you must be something or other that binds you. Believe when I tell you that you are the pure awareness that illumines consciousness and its infinite content. So we have sampragyata versus asampragyata. Sampragyata, in sampragyata, a samadhi, that's the lower samadhi, the aspirant concentrates on an object and pierces through its veil of mystery and has total power over that object of concentration. In asampragyata samadhi, the aspirant knows reality, knows that reality behind the appearance, the unity behind the diversity, and sheds all limitations. He or she experiences one's true nature, free from time, space, and causation. So a quick review again. Sutras 1 through 4 summarize yoga. And if you don't have a copy of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, there are some wonderful books available. Raja Yoga, Swami Vivekananda's commentary is there. We also have How to Know God by Swami Pravrajika. That's very good for Westerners who are just beginning. And we have other commentaries as well, you can see in our bookstall, and also on Vedanta.com, our book inventory. So in Sutras 5 through 11, we reveal point by point the nature of obstruction, the thought waves of the mind. Sutras 12 through 16, how to control the movements of the mind through practice and non-attachment. Sutras 17 through 18 reveal the results of those practices, samadhi, lower and higher. And Sutras 20 through 51, which we will deal with today, at the end of chapter, today and next week, till the end of the chapter, present attitudes we need to cultivate in order to go beyond prakriti. So here they are. Sutra 20. Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purvaka, Itaresha. For others who still live, this samadhi, the cessation of all thought, comes from faith, energy, recollectedness, absorption, and insight. So what is faith? First, faith and respect developed by studying the scriptures and interacting with our teacher. When results start to come from our practice, faith then develops into conviction born of our own experience. Vedanta and yoga do not say, believe me, just believe in me. No, believe in yourself as well. Practice, and through your own practice, your practice becomes your teacher. Faith becomes something we have proven to ourselves. Naren, the future Vivekananda, once used the term blind faith in front of his guru, Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna immediately asked, have you known faith with your pair of eyes? Those eyes will open later on. You have to start with dependence on faith. So faith holds us in one piece when we're assailed by doubts. Shraddha nourishes the aspirant in the pursuit of the goal. And when matured, this faith allows us to reach a joy and a vigor to reach the goal. The power of faith cannot be underestimated. Sri Ramakrishna gave an example to emphasize this truth. One must have faith and love. Let me tell you how powerful faith is. A man was about to cross the sea from Ceylon to India. Vibhishana said to him, tie this thing in a corner of your wearing cloth, and you will cross the sea safely. You will be able to walk on the water, but be sure not to examine it, or you will sink. The man was walking easily on the water of the sea, such is the strength of faith, when having gone part of the way, he thought, what is this wonderful thing Vibhishana has given me that I can walk even on the water? He untied the knot and found only a leaf with the name of Rama written on it. Oh, just this, he thought, and instantly he sank. Vigor. Vigor develops from faith. Vigor develops further by proper and efficient use of the mind's present energy. Thus we see that faith has stages. Father Thomas Keating, a Trappist monk, world-renowned theologian, author and man of God, whom I was privileged to meet and associate with, said at one time, faith is opening, accepting, and responding. It's not just an abstract discussion of the mystery or reality, but it involves serving it and ultimately being it. As the spiritual journey evolves, one moves into the reality, and instead of faith in it, one is it, once this process is complete. Now we come to memory. Mindfulness and recollectedness are the best use of memory. This kind of memory supports our practice and deepens our faith. For those beginners who are just starting in spiritual life and have no spiritual experience to speak of, can use their memory to remember the day they were introduced through God through the process of initiation, a sacred ceremony where the Guru imparts the sacred mantra. Swami Turiyananda explained, if you constantly remember that the world is unreal, what can desires do? There is no harm in fulfilling small desires, but those that make us forget the Lord are dangerous. It does not matter that you have to live in the world. If you but keep remembrance of the Lord, desires cannot lead you astray. And now we come to absorption, complete concentration. For even an instant validates our conviction. Swami Brahmananda explained, the more the mind is absorbed within, the greater will be the joy of meditation. And when once you taste joy in your spiritual practices, the desire to continue in them will grow. Then you will no longer have to ask how long you have to meditate. Your own mind will tell you. Fifth, insight or illumination. These give us right understanding, a pure state of awareness wherein we're able to discern the truth behind the appearances. And that's what happens when we have a valid experience, higher experience. We begin to see the unreality of this world and see Brahman within. Now here in this sense, faith is a felt truth, acknowledged across the major spiritual traditions of the world. Thomas Keating disclosed, God in every sense experience is fully present, and the eye of faith opens to see that interpenetration more and more. We are invited to let our old self die now. So faith can arise also from rock-solid logic of a spiritual tradition's philosophy, as we have in Vedanta. Nisargadatta Maharaj gives the example. When you see the world, you see God. There is no seeing God apart from the world. Beyond the world, to see God is to be God. The light by which you see the world, which is God, is a tiny little spark. I am. Apparently so small, yet the first and last in every act of knowing and loving. So in this way, we take Sri Ramakrishna's words to heart. Have faith and you will achieve everything. Sutra 121. Tivra samvighanam asanaha. Success is speedy for the extremely energetic. So our own determination intensifies our practice. Swami Shivananda, a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, advised, what is wanted is intensity, yearning, and sincerity. Once you have the yearning in your mind, success is near at hand. All this does not happen in a single day. Persist in your efforts with determination, and everything will come about in due course. So it's up to us. Sutra 122, Mritu Madhya Dimatratra Tato Vi Visheshaha. The success of yogis differs according to the means they adopt, as mild, medium, or intense. Meditation is a state of mind. It's a mood of the mind. It's a mental evolution. We should ask ourselves, how committed am I? Does my sincerity wax and wane? Do I want to establish a regular routine? And if I do, can I stick to it? Do I want to devote myself to spiritual life and make my practice the center of my life? These are questions we can ask ourselves. Sutra 123. Ishvara Pranidhana Va, or by devotion to the Ishvara. Now, though the yoga system is based in Sankhya philosophy, there is also marked differences between yoga and Sankhya. Yoga allows for a supreme being, the personal God, but Sankhya is what we might call atheistic. Now, all of these 6 systems of philosophy, Sankhya, Yoga, Vedanta, all of them, they stand on the shoulders of those that preceded them. So there are elements in all of the systems. However, to the yogis, those of us who are followers of Yoga Vedanta, those who are strict followers of yoga, Ishwar is not a creator or preserver of the universe. To attain an inner mind control, it requires intellectual conviction and relentless effort along with tremendous willpower. Not everyone can do it. However, we in Yoga Vedanta observe Ishvara, the personal God, as a creator, the preserver, and destroyer of the universe. So psychic control methodology develops difficult to achieve qualities. So in other words, we as Vedantins take this yoga, accept what we can and discard what we cannot, as a manual for developing the mind, developing concentration of the mind, and attaining the highest goal. It is a perfect model. Since we have emotions, we can direct that methodology more easily towards the Ishvara, with eventually the same results as that of a strict Advaita Vedantin. In fact, again, it's very, very difficult to strive to attain the highest without building up a practice, building up your muscles, building up your knowledge of how to mountain climb before you try to scale the surface of Mount Everest. How? In the path of bhakti, the form of God actually melts into the formless reality. Those who follow the path of devotion do not remain necessarily in a dualistic framework. Ultimately, the path of devotion leads to the highest. How does this happen? At first, Narayan, the future Vivekananda, believed only in the formless God and told Sri Ramakrishna that he considered the visions of God hallucinations of the brain. But the master was undisturbed by this and would say, Narayan is unique. There is none to equal him, and certainly there was none to equal him. But later, when he gave Vivekananda the vision of God in all its aspects, the Swami encouraged others, devote yourself to God, whether with form or without form, and you will reach him. Catholic mystics would agree. St. Thomas Aquinas defined a human being as a certain capacity for God. Thomas Keating explained. That's a capacity that could expand. So if you take out what's in there as an attachment that makes us small and weak, it leaves plenty of room for the divine to act and expand whoever you are, whatever you are. But we may ask, how does our internal world expand so that what we see so clearly as form can then become formless? And this slide gives an illustration of what actually happens when we apply spiritual practice. What actually happens to the brain, it does expand. Thanks to neuroimaging, we have the proof if we're deniers. So how do we see the formless? From the form to the formless. Bhavatarani was only 8 years old when she met Sri Ramakrishna at Dakshineshwar, who asked her, "What is your opinion of me? Some say I am God himself. What do you think of that?" No, you're not God," she replied. In her own words, years later, she then recalled, "Then all of a sudden, I began to perceive a sweet fragrance used in worship. I thought the fragrance might be coming from him. I tried to locate it, and I looked around his ears." Now, she was only 8 years old. "While I was very close to him, suddenly Sri Ramakrishna's form disappeared in a brilliant light, the color of the rising sun, and his form appeared as a luminous shadow in that light. I tried to feel his body," she said, "but could not. Then after some time, the light faded gradually, and again I could see him." Years later, Bhavatarani went to Dakshineshwar to ask Sri Ramakrishna about that experience. Sri Ramakrishna returned from the temple and sat near her in his room. She said, "But before I could ask him, I again saw his form disappearing in a blaze of light. I touched him again and again, but nothing happened. His body was soft, as though no bones were there. Then I lost consciousness, and my head fell on his lap. When I came to, I found Sri Ramakrishna passing his hand over my back. I said, 'Thakur, Thakur,' meaning master, master, what are you? Are you Bhagavan? Are you Krishna? Are you Rama? What are you, Thakur?' That experience comes from grace. But how can we expand our level of devotion in order to also attain that height of oneness? And that comes from undertaking the meaning of pranidhana, devotion. If we're convinced of the divine, the formula of chitta vritti nirodha, the cessation of the thought waves of the mind, we start by trying to keep recollectedness of the divine, positive. When trying to meditate, we're trying to conceptualize the divine being. We're interacting with the divine. We're creating vritti after vritti, one after another, of the same object all the time. And faith leads to the practice of vritti sarupya, continuous thought of the form of God. We become involved with that vritti, that thought, in our meditation. In waking life, meditation generates the desire to perform karma yoga. We focus on the worship of the divine through all of our activities and try to see the reality behind the appearance. When we interact with the world, we try to feel an emotional involvement with the divine. As an ordinary person, we may feel entitled to the results of the work, especially when it's positive. But as a devotee, we instead make those an offering to the divine, along with the unsuccessful actions, praying only for knowledge and devotion. In other words, everything belongs to our beloved. In that way, eventually we become bound to think of the divine all the time. Our personality becomes saturated with the awareness of the divine. Sutra 124. Klesha karma vipakashayar aparam rishta purusha vishesha ishvaraha. Ishvara, the supreme ruler, is a special purusha, untouched by misery, actions, their results and desires. Patanjali's yoga definition of Ishvara, the supreme soul, explained more fully in Sutra 125, is not the Vedanta concept of Ishvara, the personal God, as I explained earlier, as a creator, preserver, and destroyer. Patanjali's Ishvara is a special kind of being, untouched by ignorance and the products of ignorance, not subject to karma or samskaras or the results of action. But of course, as Vedantins, we accept the personal God, just as Totapuri, Sri Ramakrishna's Vedanta guru, eventually did. And if you haven't read the story of Sri Ramakrishna's life, and that special episode when he accepted his Vedanta guru, I recommend that. So what is the yoga aspect of consciousness regarding Ishvara? It is pure and unconditional. And by concentrating on that, we live in God. We know God is within us, but what does that even mean? Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who lived from 1881 to 1955, explained, all around us, to the right and left, in front and behind, above and below, we have only to go a little beyond the frontier of sensible appearances in order to see the divine welling up and showing through. After reading this, Thomas Keating mused, imagine if you perceived Christ, for instance, as Teilhard de Chardin did, in every subatomic particle. What would that do to your ideas of people? Sutra 125. Tatra niratishayam sarvagya bijam. In him becomes infinite that all-knowingness, which in others is only a germ. The source of all knowledge is beyond all knowledge. What is Ishvara's intelligence? Our imagination falls short. Neither time nor space can boundary it or limit it. Immeasurably large and infinitely present. Sarvagya, to know everything. Though knowledge is one, when contained in a jiva, an ordinary individual, it is measurable. We as jivas can become siddha, perfect, but we can never become Ishvara. All knowingness is the very element of consciousness. Where there is consciousness, there is knowing. If consciousness is pervasive, then it is all-knowing. One day when Sarada Devi was staying at Nilambar Babu's house near Bellarmat, she had the vision of Sri Ramakrishna. She saw Sri Ramakrishna coming along the road by the side of the house. He was followed by Naran, Baburam, Rakal, 3 of his Ishvarakoti disciples, ever free. A stream of water was springing from the master's feet and flowing in front of him in waves. She said to herself, "Why, the master is everything. The Ganges has sprung from his feet." Numerous ways there are to still the mind, but to meditate on such a higher aspect of consciousness, the Supreme Being, brings a sacred dimension into our lives. Sutra 126. Sapurvesham api kuru kalena nava chedat. He is the teacher of even the ancient teachers, being not limited by time. So Ishvara cannot be measured in time. Adi Shankara said, during Rama's Yuga, Vashishta was representative of God, but he was a student of God. In the Satya Yuga, Brahma was the Yugacharya. In the Kali Yuga, it is me. Vyasa, Vashishta, Brahma, Shankara, all inherited the knowledge from their predecessors, who inherited from the source of knowledge, Ishvara. So the Guru concept emanates from the concept of Ishvara. Once I asked Swami Asheshananda, disciple of Sarada Devi, for Advaitins following a strict path of non-dualism, what is their Savikalpa Samadhi, meaning their lower Samadhi? And he immediately answered, the experience of the Guru. Now, what does that mean? It's not the human Guru. No human Guru would ever claim to be Ishvara, the personal God. Along with the Supreme Being at the source of the Guru lineage, there is Satchidananda Guru. There is the glimpse of Brahman. So a non-dualist following the path of strict Jnana Yoga would have that glimpse of Brahman, of the Satchidananda Guru, the lineage of the Guru culminating in Satchidananda. So how to meditate on Ishvara? The divine presence grows into a sense of divine omnipotence. Sutra 127. Tasya Vajaka Pranavaha. His manifested word is Om. Pranava is the sound symbol representing Ishvara, the ground of existence. This Om is not an ordinary word. There's a deep connection with what it signifies. One Vedanta commentator, Devadatta Kali, explained, its vibration embodies the divine presence, and its utterance is filled with power. Om is the expression, not just the symbol of the Supreme Being. So Ishvara and its symbol are eternal. They're not fragmented by time or space. So Ishvara, the structural meaning is a grammatical meaning. Brahman united with Maya, the personal God, God with attributes. As Swami Vivekananda expressed, the highest possible reading of the absolute by the human mind. And remember, mind is matter, subtle matter. So to go beyond that, one transcends the mind altogether. The symbolic meaning is an entity whose qualities are beyond our understanding. beyond the dimension of time or space, the fabric of the mind. Thus, we cannot conceive of Brahman without a preconception of space and time. Qualities come later. We can only conceive of his name and form, and yoga explains how this works. When we hear a name, the brain has the capacity to convert the sound energy into thought energy, ideas. The word God, Allah, Ishvara, these words all have the same idea, but different sounds, which have the capacity to explode the same idea within us once it reaches our ears. Sound, in whatever form, has the inherent capacity to explode itself into energy known as ideas or thought processes. In other words, shabda, sound becomes artha, meaning. Sound converts into meaning, and that capacity is the metaphysics of sound called Spotavada in the Yoga Vedanta tradition. The name of God and his form are inseparable. Patanjali explains, Om is not just a symbol of Brahman, but its expression. In the Jewish mystical Tetragrammaton, the name of the Most High is too sacred, too devastating to utter aloud. It is said, he who can rightly pronounce it causeth heaven and earth to tremble, for it is the name that rushes through this universe. So Om illustrated here, Om is the seed of creation with 4 parts. It signifies the world that comes into existence. A is the beginning, U is the middle, M is the end and the vibration that follows. The metaphysics of language says that each sound has an innate meaning built into it. Ah comes from the root of the throat, and air within blows out without obstruction. U, with the help of the lips, we rolled sound through the mouth cavity, not touching the palate. And with the M, we close the lips. So the whole gamut of languages moves from the base of the throat to the end of the lips, and each word has a symbolic meaning. And Om is the basis of all sounds and represents the whole phenomenon of sound production. It is the matrix, the medium of all sounds, all creation. In Sutra 128, Patanjali tells us, Tajapas tadartha bhavanam, the repetition of this Om and meditating on its meaning is the way. By repeating, we allow that vritti to rise within us. And it forms a samskara in the mind. And that vritti will reveal what Brahman is. Now, there are mystical experiences that come from the practice of mantra. The mantra becomes living, and it is called mantra shakti. That happens in the Christian tradition as well. The Way of the Pilgrim, we read about mantra shakti, how it happens in that tradition. It happens as well within the Hindu Vedanta tradition. So with mental repetition, japa, called japa, it can be performed alone or along with meditation. And we try to conceive of the absolute which is symbolized in the mantra. And slowly we develop the capacity within that is already a potential capacity. Our potential flourishes, we merge with the ideal. Where is it anchored? In our true original nature. So the mechanics of the results are Om is the expression of divine energy When verbalized, it's an outward expression, a physical sound. When repeated mentally, it's a subtle vibration of a higher order. In the first commentary, we read that to repeat Om while meditating on its meaning. That is what most of us do. In the second commentary, when experienced in deep meditation, it takes us close to the divine source, and that is called Mantra Shakti. Sutra 129. From that is gained introspection and the destruction of obstacles. So through this process, we be and become. And through the process of the formation of the vritti, we attain Satchidananda. How? And we're coming to a close now. We identify ourselves with things around us. Insulting words hurt us. We're exposed to various situations, and we get our ego involved, which is not our true nature. The scriptures are not a literary creation. They are the seer's depictions of direct experience. Sacred scriptures have a tangible vibration. Yes, a tangible vibration. And as we read and study them, we receive their darshan. To validate this in my mind, I once asked Swami Shraddhananda, disciple of Swami Shivananda, if some scriptures have a greater darshan than others. His answer was immediate. Yes, he said, the 10 major Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, Swami Vivekananda's works, and the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Scriptures are so helpful. They share with us the student's delusion and the Guru's instructions and wisdom. Nothing in the world can shake us when we're successful through the evolution of time with following to its culmination our regular practice. And as we advance, we saturate ourselves with bhavanam, godliness within. So in conclusion, a devotee once asked Sarada Devi, Mother, what is the secret? And Sarada Devi pointed to a small timepiece in a niche. She said, as that timepiece is ticking, so also go on repeating God's name. That will bring you everything. Nothing more need be done. Swami Sridharananda once said, I repeat the mantra to get hold of it, to lay my anchor. This is not hypnotization. It's raising the pure vrittis in the chitta. As we think, so we become. This is a process of being and becoming one with the divine, and it has begun.
Hi, this is the third practice series of the Raja Yoga lectures for the month of April. And this lecture is on how to increase the mind's capacity and power. So just as kind of a real brief little synopsis, our objective in this practice, as well as kind of in our lives, is to experience ourselves as the spiritual beings we are, having a human experience. And what we presume is that we understand that. We understand we're unfolding divinity. And that unfoldment happens through our practice and our releasing the expectations of the results of the practice. And through that practice, our faith increases, which supports our practice further and increases our faith. So our success is tied to our level of determination, and determination intensifies our practice. So this short practice today will be one of opening the heart. It will be have some extensions or back bending to open the heart, as well as a little bit more of an energetic quality to it. And we just want to remember that faith is opening, accepting, and responding. So with that, we'll begin. So let's sit tall and feel our feet on the ground. And feel our hands resting on our legs. And bringing the shoulders right over the hips. And releasing the weight of our elbows, drawing up through the front of the spine, lifting the sternum while keeping the head balanced over the spine. And then tuning into our breath. And try to tune into your breath along the front of your spine, close to the Sushumna. And feel the breath as it moves down, close to the spine, but slightly in front of the spine. Feel how the breath drops down as you inhale, and feel the expansion through the ribs, the chest, the belly, and how everything just relaxes back on the exhale. Start to let your mind relax. Feel the softness come behind the eyes as you let the eyes recede, move back into the head. So turning all of our senses inward. We'll bring our hands together at the heart. And we'll join our voices in 3 ohms. So inhaling. Om. 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 Bowing the head to the heart, salute the teacher within. And then releasing the hands to your thighs. Let's do just a little warm up. So let's roll the shoulders. And just feeling any tension that may be collected in your shoulders and your neck. Just allow it to let go to whatever degree it's ready to. And then leave your shoulders back and down, and let's begin with some easy neck rolls. Starting small, being very mindful of how the neck is feeling today. And reversing direction. And then coming back to our mountain pose, sitting tall. And then let's just take our arms up in Urdhva Hastasana, really lifting up. And then let's do some little reaches with one side at a time, feeling the lengthening in our side waist, opening up the ribs. Inhaling as you reach up and exhaling as you come back. And you don't have to follow me, follow your own breath. Just try to connect the breath and the movement. And then the next time we go to the right, let's go ahead and side bend. Down away from the ears. And then start to reach your left fingertips to right. And take that arm bone back and start to open the chest. Feel the heart center, center of wisdom, opening. And then inhale, bring the other arm. And again, just a few stretches. And then we'll go to the left, right arm reaching. Feel the breath along the spine, right through that center channel. Lifting, opening the chest with each inhale. And then as you exhale, bring that left arm up and release your arms. And then with the hands on the knees, a cat-cow. So inhaling, arching, again, feeling the stretch of the chest. Exhaling, rounding. So bringing some determination into your practice, just determination to stay present, to build our strength, our agility. While the heart is the center of wisdom, the mind is the center of discrimination. We need both. So we discriminate between the opening and the closing, or the reaching out and the withdrawing. Two natural impulses always residing within us. And we want to balance the opposites into the center. So coming back and being in the center. And then we'll turn to the right. And again, roll your shoulder blades back and down. Keep the heart lifted and open. Feel the width across your collarbones. Imagine a bright light right at the center of the chest. Visualize it. Imagine it as a symbol of your devotion, your faith, and that you're spreading and opening it so it can go through the whole body like water, seeping into every little nook and cranny, every little crevice, and then releasing. Big breath, let it all out, and then going to the left. Going back to that visualization of the light at the chest, and your light may be yellow, could be pink or lavender, green. Yes, rather than giving it a color, see if a color kind of just comes to you. And just let that color, that energy expand with each breath. And then releasing. And then we're going to go ahead and stand up and take your chair so that the chair seat is facing you. And we're going to do some sun salutations to feather warm, but also to build our strength. And strength helps to build our determination. So let's start standing mountain pose, feet grounded, arms overhead, and then push down with your feet. Reach up through your fingers. So you want an equal amount of pushing to chin. Just get as tall as you can. Keep your tailbone released down, your front root strong back. And then as you exhale, come forward. Put your hands in your chair seat and bow. And then straighten the elbows, come halfway up, inhaling, arching the back, opening the chest. Exhaling, going all the way forward. And then inhaling, take your left leg back and your right leg slightly forward, coming into a lunge. Shoulder blades down, and reach back through that left heel as you draw your sternum forward between your hands or between your arms. And then exhale, bring your right leg, push down into your hands, lift your armpits and roll your upper arm bones out so the weight is on your hands. Lift your kneecaps and press your thighs back. And then come up onto your toes. Inhale, come forward into a plank, rolling the arms out. Keep your legs really firm. Exhale, go back. And all of those same little parts of the body lifting, ones that I named, the armpits, the thighs, the belly, all lifted. And then on your next inhale, step forward with your left foot. And then on the exhale, step forward with your right foot and bow. Inhale, arms forward and up. Reach up as you push down. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Second side, inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, fold all the way over. Inhale, halfway up, straightening the elbows. Exhale, all the way over. Inhale, right leg back. Pull the chest forward, shoulder blades down. Exhale, back into down dog. Adjust your feet, your legs so that it feels like a reasonable distance. And keep the armpits up, but press the shoulder blades down to open the heart. And pull your heart back towards your thighs as you press your thighs back. Opening, expanding, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to not know. Inhale, come forward into a plank. Exhale, back to down dog. Inhale, step forward with your right leg, shoulder blades down, chest forward. And then step your left leg in and bow. Inhale, arms forward and up. Exhale, hands to the heart, arms by your side. And then we'll come back to a seated position, and we'll take Warrior 2. And Warrior 2 is a strengthening pose, just like the name Warrior implies that determination. So we'll take the right leg off to the right. We're going to kind of bend to the right and stretch the left leg out. Now, if you can't get your leg back like this, it's fine to have it a little forward. Okay, so it can take a little while to get enough opening in the groins for the leg to go back like this. But let's lift the arms. Now relax the shoulders. Lift from the front of your body to lift the chest up and turn the head to the right, as though you're looking beyond into your future. Where do you see yourself as you move through your life? What is your vision? What is your aim? Building that determination and strength to get there, the intention. And then release the arms. Come back. Take the left leg out and the right leg goes back. Inhale, lift the arms, lift the chest, and look out over the left fingertips, looking into your future from this perspective. Where to go? You see yourself, body, represent that you see for yourself. How determined are you? Let it be reflected in your posture, in your body. And then release. And bring your legs back. And then we're going to stand up, again. And this time we'll come behind the chair. And we're going to start with Warrior 1. So staying with the warrior practices. So stepping back with the left leg. Let's bend the front knee. Now press down. Remember, the more you press down, the more you'll feel a lift. If you can see it on my body as I push my feet down, my pelvis, everything comes up. Okay, very key thing to learn in Hatha Yoga. So as you push down with your feet, take your tailbone forward, lift from the front of your body, and if you can let go of your chair, if you need to keep your fingers on your chair for balance, do that. Just let how you made your sides. So let's just do reaching with one side at a time. Those feet pressing down, even though you're moving your upper body, stays absolutely still. And then thumbs up. Now bring your hands to the back of your chair. Come up onto the back toes and come forward, putting your hands into your chair. And then start to press down with your right foot, straightening the leg. Let the left leg come up. Don't take it up any higher than the hip. Press your right thigh back and lift your right arm up. Look down into your chair seat. This is Warrior 3. Warrior 1 came before. Open those left toes and reach that from your fingertips. Feel the strength that you need in that leg. And then hand back to the chair seat. Step back and step forward. Stand in mountain pose. And then we'll take the right leg back, or warrior one, with the left leg forward. So bend the knee, push down with both feet. Start to lift your arms up and reach through your fingers. Tailbone down. Press your right thigh back as you reach your left knee. Try to feel that lift, that rise as you push down. And then bring your fingertips to the back of your chair. Come up. Hands into the seat of the chair. Lift your right leg up. Roll your right thigh in. Don't let it roll out. And stretch your left arm up. And look down at the chair now in warrior three. When we do it without support, we gaze beyond our fingertips, just like we do in all the warrior poses. So it's up to you where you place your head, but you don't want strain in your neck. So keep your chest up. And then left hand to the seat of the chair, step back. And back to warrior one. And just lift the head, gaze upwards. Open the chest. And then hands back to the back of the chair and step forward. Good. Let's go ahead and sit down. Okay, so just take a moment and let your breath come back to a normal pace. And then we'll just take what we call a hip circle, just to slow things down a little bit and to relieve any tension that may have crept into your back. And going in the other direction. And then coming all the way back up. Coming back to mountain pose, sitting a little far forward on your chair seat. We're going to just reach back and grab the sides of the chair. Roll your arm bones back and down. This is Bhujangasana, cobra pose. So in India, the cobra pose is really representative or symbolic of the Kundalini energy. So the coiling, uncoiling of that energy at the base of the spine, moving upwards. So we want to stay grounded through the tailbone, but then start to lift the front of the spine up. So just kind of going forward. Now you don't want to just do it by throwing your head back. This comes from deep, deep, deep within. Right in that center tube of the body. Just breathe there. And you should be able to breathe just really naturally. And then release and come back. Okay. Take the arms up for Garudasana arms. Garudasana is eagle pose. So another one of those animals that represents kind of determination, power. And so let's take the right arm, cross it over the left, and take that right above the left elbow. So if you get way down here, you won't be able to wrap. So get around as much as you can and join the palms of your hands and start to just hug your arms in together and then begin to lift the elbows up. So again, coming from the base of your spine, as you inhale, drawing up through the front of the spine. up through the elbows, shoulder blades down the back. Lift and open. Don't push your spine forward. It's not a movement, a forward movement. It's an upward movement. So just keep trying to get longer and longer. When you've reached as far as you can go, the body will just naturally begin to go back and release. Let's open the arms and cross them. And then we're going to take the left arm, right, interlace the forearms. And again, so elbows up first before you do anything else. Push down with your feet. Exhale completely. Inhale, lifting from the front of the spine, going straight up, the arms up, everything's going up, 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 up. But the tailbone is going down, opening the chest, shoulders, and then releasing. Ooh, good stretch. And then just swinging the arms. For our last pose before we cool down will be a heart opener. And this is upward facing dog. So an upward facing dog, we make a full arc with the body. So just take your hands. If you want to watch this first time, so you know where you're going, that's fine. If you just want to go with me, that's fine too. We will do it twice. So just put your hands on your chair seat. Now step your legs back like you're going to do down dog and just push your thighs back. Keep your arms lifted and then come up onto your toes and start to bring your shoulders over your wrists. And then you're going to push down on your sacrum. Okay, but as you push down on your sacrum, you got to keep the thighs lifting up. Now roll the arm bones out so that you're opening your chest and bringing the ribs through the arms. Keep the legs very strong, feet pushing down, and then push back. And so this will be the second one. So if you didn't do it the first time, try it the second time. So pushing down with the palms, lifting the armpits, starting to roll the upper arm bones out. Your shoulder up onto your toes. Start to glide forward. And as you glide forward, roll your arm bones out. Pull your shoulder blades down. Make your legs strong. Lift your thighs. Push back through your heels. And start to push the sacrum straight down. Pull your chest through your arms. And lift the chest. And exhale, lift and go back. So invigorating. Just be here and rest for a moment. And then step in and let's sit again. And we'll just cool down and end our practice for this session. So sitting in mountain pose, let's just roll our head and neck. Let go. If you were tensing here, go the other way. And then we're just going to fold forward and just hang your head. And let the neck lengthen. Stretching your back. And then hands to the thighs, pressing up. Turn the palms up. And relax. Notice the energy moving through your body. May feel kind of electric in places, softer in other places. This is your life force moving. Part of the practice is learning how to direct that energy to your own good, to your own growth in your spiritual life, building determination, building our faith that what we do makes a difference. Bringing the hands together at the heart, bowing the head, and just thanking yourself for taking this time. May we have faith to know the divine enriches us, invigorates us, is present with us throughout our day. Namaste. Thank you.